Welcome to the Earn More, Stress Less podcast with me, Caro Syson, and my co-host for this season 2, Hayley Hudson. This podcast is for self-employed business owners just like you who really want to grow their business and become successful and profitable and without all the stress and hassle. We want to share over 50 years of our business experience to show you how simple it can be to earn more money and how you can get organised without needing a business degree or any other qualification. We'll be talking about the easy steps that you can put in place right now to start earning more money today and to help you get the business that you deserve and dream of. So without further ado, let's get started. This week's podcast is sponsored by Pocket PA, helping self-employed business owners to get organised, understand their finances and do their accounts all in one place using a powerful online tool. If you're serious about making a profit and having a successful business, then using a simple digital app like Pocket PA is the best way to grow and scale your business. Visit pocketpa.com for more details and start managing your money like a pro today. Welcome to season 2 of the Earn More, Stress Less podcast with me, Caro Syson. And this time I have got a co-host, which is super exciting. Now, in my first season, I would interview different guests each week. And that was absolutely wonderful because we had a whole range of different people. But this time I am going to go with a co-host. So I'm going to introduce you in a moment to Hayley Hudson, and she's going to be on each episode in season 2. And we're going to chat about lots of different things relating to business and self-employment. And Hayley's going to let us know about herself in a moment. So the idea is that these weekly podcasts are going to be centered for mainly service-based industry professions. So if you're working by yourself, for yourself, you're self-employed, you don't get duvet days, that sort of thing, this is the podcast that will really be able to help you. We're going to talk about a whole load of different things. So I met Hayley recently at a networking event because we all need to go out and do some networking. And she was actually sitting on my table and we didn't actually speak until the second day. And when we did, we just clicked. We just knew that we had our person. And then we chatted afterwards and realised that we were a really good fit to sort of move forwards with the podcast. So I know it can be nerve-wracking when you go to events alone. I think Hayley was on her own. I was actually with somebody else, but you have to push you have to push yourself outside of your comfort zone. And so it was lovely to meet Hayley, and Hayley's going to introduce herself in a moment. So Hayley, hello. Thank you for coming on the podcast and becoming my co-host for season 2. How are you?
I'm really good, Caro. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so pleased that you asked me to come on. So I can't wait to get going.
Perfect. Well, I've had sweaty palms all morning. I know it's just that anxiety of doing something new again and getting back into the saddle. And I just thought, you know what? It's progress over perfection. I'm going to actually just turn up and start enjoying it a little bit more. And hopefully we'll have some good rapport. We'll have some great conversations and we'll just get into the flow. So I'm not going to edit the heck out of this whole podcast series because I think that's what I did in the first series. And it made me quite anxious. So this time is going to be, there'll be some moments when we talk over each other and we say some bloopers, but let's plan that we might just leave them in. Actually, I think it makes it a little bit more relatable and a bit more real life. And so, yeah, we don't need perfect everything. So the first thing that I wanted to do is just to reference everyone back to my episode 2, where I gave a brief overview of my business experience and being the founder of Pocket PA. But I'd love to hear more, Hayley, if you could explain about your background and where you are at the moment in your business. So over to you, Hayley. Tell us about yourself.
Wow, where do I begin? So my name's Hayley. I'm a business strategist and mentor for anybody who wants to be advised and encouraged and helped along their business journey. But I do specialise in the hair, beauty and health industry. I started out my career as a hairdresser. So I've been a hairdresser for rather a long time. I'm not entirely sure if I want to share exactly how long, but we'll say a very, very long time. I've had my own salon for 15 years. And I also have a wellbeing centre. I'm a social media manager and a business manager. I kind of do everything. I've almost got a bit of business bipolar. There's a lot going on there.
I think you're very similar to lots of self-employed business owners. We all seem to have fingers in lots of different pies. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of people will resonate with and sort of feel that they also do lots of things alongside their sort of main focus. So you've been working by yourself for yourself. You've also had your business, and I know that you've actually built a multi-award winning six-figure salon. So I know you haven't mentioned that. You've been very modest. You're certified in lots of things as well, and you have got over 24 years of industry experience, Hayley. So I think it's important that I tell people that, because otherwise, you're like most women, we forget to blow our own trumpets. We feel a bit awkward. I know that sort of thing happens, but you've had multiple businesses and you've been very successful. So yeah, we need to make sure that everyone knows that who they're listening to in this point. So yeah, but you're also a mum and a wife.
I'm going to take you around with me to tell everybody that wherever I go. It is so difficult when people say to me, because I have so many different interests and so multiple businesses, it is really difficult. I find in my head sometimes I'm thinking, do I lead with this one or this one or this one? It's very difficult sometimes to encompass everything that you do. And I think, like you say, as women, we don't shout about our achievements and our accomplishments enough at all, do we? So thank you very much there. Yes.
No, that's okay. Well, people are going to be listening to us for quite a few weeks now. So I think it's important that they know that you've got a really solid foundation. And for those who haven't listened to my episode 2 of my background, I've had a very squiggly journey to get to where I am. I started off as a physiotherapist in the NHS, and then I moved into private practice. I had 4 children in 4 years. So I'm a mum of 4. They're all in their 20s now. So that was an awfully long time ago. I had my physio practice for 8 years, and then I retrained as a mortgage broker, and I started off in property and finance and construction. And I've done that for sort of 20 plus years. And then 8 years ago, my oldest daughter came home one day when she was 19 and said, "Mum, I want to work for myself." And I was so excited. But I knew that without any previous business experience, why would she have any? She was 19, she'd just left school. I knew that there would be a lot of new things that she would need to learn. So I was looking for tools for her to be able to use for her new business, which was in beauty. And when I couldn't find all of the things all in one place, there were lots of different apps doing lots of different things. I could find over 50 with accountancy, CRM systems, invoicing, booking softwares. I just thought, that's crazy. It should all be in one place. And as your mum, I just want to help. So I went OTT. I was all a bit extra, and I decided to make that for her, that magic tool. And for the last 8 years, that's kind of what I've been doing, making Pocket PA, which is a one-stop business tool to help Megan run her business and multiple other people, all using Pocket PA to help organise their business. So I've been in this sector now for about 8 years with Pocket PA software, and a lot of our Pocket PA users are in the hair and beauty industry. So it's an industry that I feel I know very well, having a daughter in that industry. So it was a perfect match when we met up. And you're obviously a hairstylist and have all of that background as well. So I think that's partly why we sort of gelled so quickly, because we recognize the problems that a lot of small business owners who are self-employed actually have, and the challenges. And as a strategist and a mentor, you're in that position where you're sort of supporting and helping those people already, sort of on a face-to-face basis.
Absolutely. I mean, I get so many, mainly women, to be totally honest, coming and approaching me and telling me about various different problems they're encountering in their business. And across hair, beauty, and health, I think a lot of freelancers all tend to have the same sort of problems. To be honest, we've discussed this as well. My husband's in the trades, and I know your son is as well. And it's very much the same sort of problems. Business is business. It's about getting new clients, how to keep those clients, how to track the numbers. A lot of people in our industry are not great with computers or numbers. A lot of people are dyslexic, especially in the hairdressing industry. There's an awful lot of neurodivergent people, and it's just really difficult. It can be very overwhelming when they embark on their self-employed journey. All of a sudden, they've gone from just being really good at doing hair or beauty, and then all of a sudden they've got to run a business. And then there's all this other stuff that's going on. So not only have you got to do all your clients, you've got to do all your marketing, you've got to do all your books, you've got to suddenly understand what the accountant's telling you. And it can be so overwhelming. So, yeah, I love helping people at all stages of their journey. It's a real privilege to be able to help people make more money and enjoy their family life more. And also take that stress and that burden away from them as well, because it doesn't have to be so overwhelming and frightening, to be totally honest. It can be really frightening for some people.
Yeah, I think the overwhelm is real. And I think when you get started or you have some idea that you want to work for yourself, you're really just focusing on the fact that you have this passion for whatever service it is that you want to deliver. And that's where your focus is. But you don't realize that there is so many other things, all the different hats that you have to wear. You have to literally be front of house, the receptionist, you have to be the bookkeeper, the cleaner, the customer service, the social media manager. You have to do all of these different things, and it doesn't light you up often. The thing that you really enjoy doing is actually seeing your customers face to face and actually delivering the service. And the bits that don't light you up is the business stuff, those things. And that was kind of the bits that I made Pocket PA for, those admin tasks, the numbers bits, the bits that don't light people up and often make them feel overwhelmed. Because when they're having to do those things, that's not when they're earning money. That isn't income producing. So they're doing those things and they're trying to do them in the least amount of time, as quick as possible, with the least amount of effort put into them, because, as I say, it doesn't light them up and they want to get back to seeing their clients. And they feel often resentful of the fact that they're having to message clients in the evening and at weekends and that sort of thing, and that there isn't a simpler way. And they are just that whole, the front stop, the back stop, the side buffers in their business. There is just them often. And those are the people that we're really wanting to focus on helping with the podcast, not the people that are more into the larger businesses that have got staff members. And, there are definitely some nuggets that they'll be able to pick up. But I think the purpose of the podcast really is for us to give valuable insights, tips and inspiration for fellow professionals in service-based industries, particularly hair or beauty industry, because that's what we have some background in. And I think we want to just be discussing topics and themes within the podcast every single week that's really going to add value to help people feel reassured and cover different topics which are real challenges to people, and just give a different perspective, I think, with the two of us just talking about them, if that makes sense.
Oh gosh, yeah, absolutely. I think as well, it's really important that you don't feel like you're alone. I think when you're in business, it can be a really lonely place. I know, especially when I started out, in the early days, my first business was specializing in bridal hair, and I was doing that as a solopreneur on my own. And I think I was 19, and it was really lonely. I didn't have anybody to talk to. My granddad was in business, but he got an engineering company. My mum was never been in business. I hadn't really got any family members who were in business to go and ask about anything. And obviously, I think especially when I started out, there was a little bit of that. I couldn't go and talk to my engineering granddad about hairdressing. It was maybe seen as, oh, you've been, a hairdresser and da da da. I think often we're encouraged to do other things that are seen to be better careers. There was a little bit of a stigma, shall I say. I'm skirting around the edge of it here, but when I qualified as a hairdresser and told everybody I wanted to be a hairdresser, they were like, why? Why do you want to be a hairdresser? When are you going to get a proper job? Obviously, as you've said in my introduction, as I earned multi-six figures and became an award-winning salon owner, then and I obviously had the fruits to prove that. Their attitudes changed a little bit, but in the first instance, it was really, really lonely. There wasn't anybody to talk to. There weren't all the mentors, and the internet has brought great things. Some things are great, some things aren't so great, but there's a lot of mentors out there. There's a lot of resources, a lot of networking events and things where you can actually have a community and feel that, even just by what we're doing today. It's making and creating that community so that people can feel heard, they can express themselves, and they can get resources and get valuable information, even if it's just a snippet of something that you hear during one of our podcasts. And that helps you to go on, either make more money, save time, or feel more confident when you're dealing with your tax or your accountant. Then that's a job well done, isn't it?
Yeah, because I think when you leave school, there's this presumption that you're going to go on to further education. You're going to either go to college or you're going to go to university probably, and then you're going to sort of move into a corporate job. But there are a lot of people that don't particularly enjoy school. They might not have done well. They may not have been book smart. And as we talked about at the beginning, they might be neurodivergent. So they may have dyslexia. My daughter has dyscalculia, which is the number dyslexia. So there are a lot of people with ADHD diagnoses these days, and I myself have autism. So a lot of people are facing challenges which don't mean that they fit very easily into an employment role, and they're much better suited to working for themselves and being self-employed. And I think that when you start to feel part of a group and a community, and that you aren't on your own, because it can be very isolating and lonely working for yourself by yourself. If you're just delivering your service to one client after another, yes, it's nice to have a bit of chit chat with those clients when they come in, but actually having peers, different people working alongside you in the same industry, you might not meet them or see them unless you go to networking events. So it is very easy to feel isolated as a self-employed business owner, particularly when you're overwhelmed with all of the daily tasks and you don't feel that you can get your head above the water. So I think that, by us touching on topics, shining a light on some of the things, hopefully you won't feel so alone if you hear us talking about some of the topics that we've got coming up in the upcoming sort of weeks that we're going to be covering. And I know Hayley and I have had a little sit down and a chat about some of the things that we're going to be trying to cover. Next week, we're going to be talking about starting out on your business journey, just some of the basics about setting up your business and insurance, those sorts of things. We're going to be covering on about business finances, how to grow your client lists. We're going to be talking about goal setting and planning, the difference between working in your business and on your business. A lot of people don't know those differences. And also when you're working solo, about how to leverage your time. So talking about handy time-saving hacks and tips. We know that in the service-based industries, there are often no-shows, forgotten appointments. We want to help explain how you can minimize those. And we want to also talk about boundaries, your terms and conditions. We want to talk about when you take time off for your holidays, how you keep up with industry trends, setting prices, talking about profitability. So there are lots and lots of things that Hayley and I have brainstormed and have chatted about, and we'd like to bring to you in the upcoming episodes.
I think it's really important that from the podcast, people feel like it's not just a social and a jolly. I want people to come away from this, and I know you felt very strongly about that as well, that it's actually a resource so that people can come here and find something out and it can help them on their business journey. I think because otherwise, if everybody's time is valuable, if they're spending 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever, listening to podcast, I think it's really important that you go away with some key takeaways. Even if it's just one or two things that you can go away and action in your business or something to look out for. So we've tried to compile a list of various different topics that hopefully it will either demystify or make you feel like we've said before, that you're not alone, or just give you some really simple tips and some strategies to deal with some of the common pitfalls, because there's so many common things that people get stuck on. Like I say, when I'm mentoring people, a lot of the things that I help people with are the same things repeatedly. There might be a different set of circumstances, but it will be essentially the same sort of problems that people are getting caught up on every single time. So hopefully over the next few weeks, we can, dispel some of those myths and give you some tips and some tricks and help you along your way.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think the three main things that most people are tripping up or they're having some challenges with is either their time, the money side of things, or the clients. It's the interactions and the relationship. So I think, a lot of the things will come back to the time, money and client aspects, whether, it's the sort of nuts and bolts, your business foundations, or, just more things relating to those. But, a lot of people are doing the mum job juggle, really, aren't they? And so, you've got a family and I've got kids and stuff, and people are always balancing relationships, time, their finances and things. So I think we will circle back a lot of the time to bring those three things into the podcast. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts of Hayley and myself. And it would be lovely if you want to engage with the podcast. You can subscribe, you can leave reviews. If you're able to leave a review, then it will mean that we can get the podcast out wider to more people listening. And we'd love you to share feedback or topic suggestions. We're going to leave some resources in the show notes so that you'll be able to come and connect with Hayley and myself. We've both got Instagram accounts. Have you got a Facebook, Hayley? Or are you more on Instagram?
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, website. I'm all over the place. I'm everywhere.
Yeah, we'll leave those links in the bottom. But just really looking forward to spending some time with you. Thank you so much for choosing to listen to the Earn More, Stress Less podcast with Hayley and myself. And we look forward to spending more weeks, whether you're just listening to this as a first time or whether you're binge listening to the episodes and you've just come across us. We just want to say thank you. So have a fabulous week, whatever it is you're doing, and we will catch up with you again very soon. Thank you so much for listening today to the Earn More, Stress Less podcast with me, Caro Syson, and my co-host, Hayley Hudson. If you've enjoyed this week's episode, then do hit subscribe so we can catch up again soon. And please kindly leave a review if you've got a moment and share with anyone else that you think this podcast could help on their self-employed journey. If you're ready to make bigger breakthroughs in your business life and want to get way more organised and understand your finances the really simple way, then start your very own 14-day free trial today using the super powerful software tool Pocket PA that I made for my own son and daughter. Go to pocketpa.com/podcast and let's get you on the way to earning more money and stressing much less. Have a great week, whatever you're doing.